The $15 minimum wage will be the best thing for America. And it's not what you think, or why you would think it. The conversation about increasing the minimum wage is going to reveal the most major issue. So let's think about this. You're out there investing in stocks and you inadvertently create the opposite pressure of paying people well or treating customers with the greatest care. Why is that? Because there's something called the fiduciary responsibility for CEOs. And that fiduciary responsibility is to one thing: shareholder value. This is part of the wealth gap, right? Shareholder value. They're looking very short-sighted. What can we do to boost that stock price? Do we have to ask employees to do twice as much? Do we have to treat our customers worse and just try to skim whatever we possibly can? See, they're creating a lot of incentives to actually lie and mislead when we're only looking at fiduciary. So it really starts to feel greed over value. The system rewards leverage through stocks, but it punishes workers and employees. So when I like this conversation, like, okay, let's raise the minimum wage. Well, look, when we use the word minimum, we're talking about the lowest barrier to entry. We're talking about the lowest standard. And when we mandate those things, even though it's well-intentioned, it creates resentment. And ultimately, it even gets people to start thinking smaller of like, okay, someone else will come take care of me. A government program or a government law will make my life better. When has that ever really been the case for most people? Can you truly trust that? What you have to trust in is yourself. You being a producer, you finding value, you finding a skill set that's worth more than $15 an hour, because $15 an hour doesn't lead to prosperity. $15 an hour isn't a way to wealth. And mandating that other people pay $15 an hour is going to advance artificial intelligence and technology to make those jobs obsolete, because a business owner is going to look for efficiency and profitability. And let's even look at it from this standpoint. If we raise the minimum wage and we don't change the fiduciary rules, here's what's going to happen. It's going to fall onto the customer's back. Customers are going to end up paying more for the same products. We become less efficient, then we create more worldwide pressure, where then we start talking about tariffs and more government mandates, and there's something called unintended consequences, where we start messing with all these markets, and we think that we as human beings can predict other human beings' behavior. And we have to consider like what's happening with technology, what's happening with the global economy, what's happening with world leaders fighting, what's happening within politics. Politics is a joke. We don't know what's going on there. These bills are so long and there's so much garbage put into it that it's just inefficient, it's ineffective, and people hate even paying taxes. So let's get into what it means to be a fiduciary, because this is at the crux of the problem. A fiduciary means you have a responsibility from a legal standpoint to take care of shareholder value. Your job as a publicly traded company CEO is to push that value up. Is that pushing that value up? What is it that's going to do that? Well, the system's going to fail us. And it's time to get to the root of the problem, because the system's going to fail us because they don't care about employees in that system. They care about shareholders. Shareholders care about profits. Where can we make it where it's coordinated and it's communicating? I look at B Corps, that might be a certain way. I look at people that really try to create an amazing culture and they want to be an amazing workplace and they want to invest back in their employees, and they know if by investing in their employees they can produce more for their customers, and if they produce more for their customers and add more value, there's a bigger opportunity to be a sustainable company. It's not short-sighted. Well, the second thing is, rather than fight to keep the minimum wage down, let's work to add more value in order to have everyone be more successful. What if this was about the schools stepping up and they stop failing us? When schools are inadequately preparing someone to be in the workplace because they don't know how to monetize, they haven't discovered their own skills. It's not what's going on with the advancement of technology, and so they get out there, they're confused, they're out of place, and they don't even have speaking skills and communication skills and the skills to have even a good resume, or the skills to actually go into a business from day one and be of value. Well, then that's going to be a problem. And then if businesses go, I have someone who's not prepared and I'm supposed to pay them at least $15, and they're adding $15 of value, that business either goes out of business or it stops to grow because it doesn't want to hire those people to have that inefficient dollar, so it starts to impact overall value for everyone. Technology is replacing us, but I don't feel that is bad news, because it means that we can stop doing the things that are monotonous, like assembly lines. Those weren't fun. Nobody was inspired by those jobs. And when we can have robots and technology handle that, what can we do that's creative? What can we do that is connecting us to other human beings? What can we do to be more adaptable rather than holding on tight to what we already have? Focus on what we can create moving forward and start training people to think, and to think about connection and creation just about rote memorization. This is a production-based economy. The old economy was time and effort. Hey, I showed up, I put in my time time I put in my effort, I want my pay. A production-based economy is how do I impact the bottom line? What can I do to actually elicit change? What can I do to add value? It's a different question, and we've got to once again address this fiduciary only thinking about shareholders and thinking about customers and thinking about employees at the same degree, because that's a model where capitalism can thrive instead of having socialism creep in and go, we've got to mandate that people take care of each other. Why people aren't we thinking about taking care of each other? Why aren't we thinking about being, like the people and connection and humans are what matter instead of just getting ours? That win-lose mentality destroys things. Look, my book, Killing Sacred Cows, addresses this. So if you want a download of that, you can go to wealthfactory.com/megakit so you can see all the myths and misinformation that hold people back. Mandates by politicians, it's never going to be the solution. One law change could definitely help everything, though. It's we change the fiduciary rules to be replaced with value, so that we start thinking about win, win, win. Yes, I want the company to win so it stays in business, and I'm a business owner myself. I want the employees to win so that we can have more wealth and less of a wealth gap, so it's not all going into one place and not enough to the other. And then finally, I want customers to be treated well. I am very happy that people can give comments and give reviews and do certain things, so there is more accountability that way. But I want it to be about what can we do to add the most value. Some of the wealthiest people in our history said, how do we make something that's only available to the rich become available to everyone? And that type of impact spread, and all of a sudden people were able to enhance their quality of life. This is a quality of life thing. And look, you can go vote for politicians. I don't know how much difference that's going to make, but you can invest and vote with your dollar. What are you spending money on? What are you spending time in? Invest in yourself, in your skill set, and on things with companies that you agree with their philosophies, that you like what they're doing, that you want to see them succeed, that they take good care of you, they take good care of their employees, because it's time for that shift to happen. The system's broken. And forcing people just to pay more takes away freedom and creates an incentive to move jobs overseas, to automate them, or somehow make it where they're just not going to use people here, right? Instead, it's time to have conscious capitalism rather than fiduciary, short-sighted, crappy CEOs take all the money and investors get an inflated value, and we have some stupid lopsided system. See, when a company goes out there and they issue a stock, and it's an IPO, they get that cash. Now it moves to the secondary market, and then everybody else just automatically puts that money away in their 401k and their IRA, and then it goes up in value, and then it eventually comes back down when we find out those companies lied, and a lot of those CEOs don't go to jail, and the financial system goes, they're too big to fail, and it infuriates me. Like, I don't want to support that, because now all these people got golden parachutes, they end up with a ton of money, including when we look at the a-holes at AIG, right? They had this huge derivative system that nearly bankrupted the entire country, and still 72 people got $1 million plus bonus after screwing it up. That's nonsense. That's craziness. So it's time for you to look at your personal economy and what steps you can take. It's time for you to add more value. Don't let the minimum wage become your target or your sight. Think bigger than that. Think about what you can truly bring to the world, and whatever your fears are that prevent you, it's time to remove those. It's time to spend time with the right people. It's continuing to download this type of information and take action steps that lead the way. I started with a small business at age 15, very small, and then it grew a little bit. Then I invested some of that money. I made mistakes. I made some money. I started investing in real estate, made mistakes, made some money. I just continued to ask, what can I do that's going to bring out more talents? How can I invest in myself? By learning, reading, spending time with the right people, going to the right events, and making sure that I'm filling my head with the right thoughts, right? Now you have the knowledge to transform your thoughts into profits and build the life you love and get above the minimum where it's about maximum value. If you're looking for more on this topic, check out my video on how your plan for retirement is your plan for an early death. Learn how to retire from this idea of retirement, how to retire into what you love. I'll see you there. At what point do you feel like there's enough abundance that you've taken care of yourself and you have more to give others? Retirement takes you out of the world and what you can contribute. It's the opposite of the abundance index.